I love your blouse.
Thank you. Thank you. It is the reading day. So if you know what isn't this just too much? I say you're 75 years old. You should have seen, heard enough, but not feel complicated. So no. I love you. Woman to woman. Yeah. Yeah, share the Debbie and Tammy my traffic was so good. And I did get the TRS. I'm going to take the 1099 and then the TRS. I didn't get Social Security. So they had to go on.
And welcome. We are so delighted that Louella is here with also some outside experts in Days for Girls. I'm sure I have my Eagle Vista over there. I forgot to bring it here, but you remember in the Eagle Vista this month, Louella wrote a column about Days for Girls. And I'm sure all of us ladies here, and even some of the men, remember those times associated with our days. And Louella is going to share some amazing, amazing stories that will break your heart, but will inspire you in ways that we can give back and we can uplift. So I'm going to have Louella come up, and Wayne is going to help moderate the sound here. And Louella is wired for sound, so don't get her to talk under her breath, because you might hear about the latest stocks.
Thank you for coming. I'm not as practiced as a presenter. I like to go to our executive director's small talks because he's so smooth. I was a home economics teacher, and back in 69, 68, 69, 69, 70, I actually taught sex education. I got by with it.
She even had a class of boys.
I had a class of boys, juniors and seniors. And I think the reason I got by with it is because I was teaching a lot of what is part of the Days for Girls curriculum, and they wanted to know the information so much that if they had parents that they couldn't talk to, they didn't. The only complaint I got in my years of teaching was that I gave credit to a cookbook. I sent out a list of recipes, and one of the recipes was from Peg Bracken's I Hate to Cook cookbook. So this freshman girl's mother called the principal and said, "Who is teaching her? Why is she teaching I hate to cook?" So anyway, I really fell in love with Days for Girls when I first heard about it. But I really think that I'm going to give you the opportunity to see and hear from Celeste Mergens, who actually started this what has turned into an international nonprofit, non-governmental organization. So, find my advance. It's a video. It'll take 18 minutes. So
development. And if you had told me 5 years ago that I would be doing what I do today, and that it would turn out to be one of the keys to reversing cycles of poverty, I don't think I would have believed it. And yet here I am, having learned so much, and I have to admit that the question that I learned of that opened this whole process was one so hidden in stigma that not many people have asked it at all until the last few years. So I have to give myself that. But let me share with you the journey. So I've been helping the Clay Foundation in Kenya provide more sustainable education opportunities for secondary school, a gift that less than 8% of the population ever got to achieve. And it makes such a profound difference. We were finding sustainable ways for the community to enable themselves to offer this. While there, a dignitary asked us if we'd like to visit the slums of Kibera. The slums stretch on when you're at the top like a sea of rusty corrugated metal. And it's filled with resourceful people, millions packed in spaces so small. And they invited us to go see an orphanage there. And I was, of course, really worried that my heart would break. But I toughed it out because I believe in experiencing. And when we got there, instead they captured my heart. And since I couldn't adopt all 400 of them, instead I brought them my gift, sustainable options. So one of them that I have to share with you is a rocket burning stove. Do you know these? So they enabled them to, instead of using scarce wood that was very expensive in the slums, they could use sawdust and these simple metal stoves that could then save them hundreds of dollars a week that could then be used for food. So I was really excited about this, and frankly, very proud of myself, I'm sorry to say. And I thought I found my passion in life. This was it. I was gonna help orphanages be more sustainable, livable, and a little less crowded. But that was before the election violence of 2008. Do you remember this? Right after the first election? Machetes and fires and people displaced and killed. And suddenly that way too big orphanage that had 400 children turned into an unimaginable 1,400. And I have to say recorded because I still can't imagine how they could possibly fit that many people in this space. This is one of the rooms there. So I went to bed trying to think of ways to feed them better because after all, this was friends of friends gathering together and passing the hat to find ways to help. This wasn't my orphanage, but I wanted to help. So we were looking for ways to feed them better. And one night I went to bed with that inside me, worried about their hunger. So imagine my surprise when I woke up at 2:30 in the morning, not with questions of solar lighting and solar solutions and food, but this question: have you asked what the girls are doing for feminine hygiene? I hadn't even thought of that question. It had never occurred to me. It was on none of the lists of any of the solutions I sought for and enabled. I was stunned and I flew from my bed and ran as fast as I could to the computer to email this question. And to my surprise, got an immediate answer. And the answer, nothing. They wait in their rooms. How do you wait in your room when there are 50 people in the room with you and these are stacked end to end and they keep going on? How do you do that? The answer was they sit on a piece of cardboard. And it turns out that all over the world, if women and girls want the dignity of being free from their room, if they want to participate in education or supporting their family and not being without hygiene, they have to resort to things like leaves and newspaper and trash or unsecured cloth or leaves, I said that already, corn husks, bark, stones, anything to not have to stay in their room because they are not there by choice. I knew I had to do something, and I wish I could tell you that my first response was something innovative, but it wasn't. It was to provide disposable pads. After all, that's what I was familiar with. So I found a nonprofit that provided them for just $200 for 500 girls that needed them. But I also knew something. I knew that if I even found a way to find somebody every month to donate something that was disposable, and they needed food, they were going to choose food every time. And that too turns out to be true all over our planet. Days for Girls started not in that moment, but in one to come. You see, amazing volunteers joined together and sewed pads, and sewed bags for those pads, and made thousands of components for those 500 girls, all stitched with love. In fact, 3 of them sewed so fast and furious that their fingertips bled. But we made it, and we took 8 huge duffel bags to Kenya. And they were so grateful when we got there. I'm the one with the cheesy grin. But they have more to teach us. I'm embarrassed to say that it didn't occur to me that there was no place to dispose of these disposable things I'd sent, right? So the consequences were that every chink in the chain link fence along the latrines was filled with soiled pads, and they were packed against posts, and they were filling the pit latrine that had to be shoveled by hand. And that, of course, adds to health issues and stigma against women and girls, the very thing we were trying to avoid. There was no place to dispose of them. But they have more to teach us besides their love and gratitude. As some of these girls left, they said, "Thank you so much. Before you came, we had to let the teachers and principal use us if we wanted to stay in class." I hoped that didn't mean what I thought it meant. And yet there were another 250 girls waiting to come through, and so I couldn't stop. But it turned out later that evening, I learned it was exactly what I feared. In order to not be bound to their rooms on a piece of cardboard, going without even food or water, unless someone remembered to bring it to them, they had to be exploited. It was a choice they made, because if you drop out of school and you're an orphan, your consequences and opportunities almost all include being exploited. If there were only 10 girls who could say that changed for them, everything we've done would have been worth it. Instead, because of amazing grassroots of thousands of volunteers that stretch from New Zealand to Australia to Europe, all over Canada, all over the USA, a magnitude of more than 100,000 girls have been reached in 5 years. So that applause should go to all of these amazing people, but they did something else that is equally as astonishing to me. You see, we started asking questions. We started asking, how does this work for you? And they would explain things like that we made our original style. In fact, you have to be with us 6 months before you can see them. So if you want to see the original style, you have to come volunteer.
bad.
We made them with ribbons at the end and a pad that looked like a pad. And of course we made them white because that's what pads are, right? Well, it turned out that the girls told us, you know what? When I walk, the pad shifts forward and then it sticks out and I look like a man, like a man. Okay, cups, we'll put pockets at each end, we got this. Then they explained that they had to hide their pads underneath their bed because they would be embarrassed to hang them out. Or in other communities, it was taboo to have them hanging out. Anything menstrually related is completely taboo. So what do you do about that? And the white, same problem, stains would be a problem, and there's no bleach. So amazing volunteers got together and they said, what do we do? This is what they did. They made this innovative solution. It's a trifold pad that looks like a handkerchief when it's flat, dries quickly, and when folded in 3 is a colorful, absorbent 6-layer miracle. And what's equally amazing about it is listening to their input and gathering the genius of those we work with and those we serve, ended up meaning that these washed with 1/4 the amount of water, 1/4. And that's huge in almost all the areas we are in. And then the volunteers were willing to change and change and change to whatever the thousands of women gave feedback that their need was. It's a miracle in what I like to call questioneering. Because after all, how can we be relevant? How can we be culturally, physically, and environmentally responsive if we don't ask those we serve what works for them? Their wisdom is as great or greater than ours. So these volunteer networks have taken us all across the globe. This is a group from Australia who took them to Madagascar. And they help in another way too. They teach people to make their own. Girls and women all over the globe are learning to make their own. A dear friend of mine, Diana in Uganda, now makes a living making pads and teaching others to make pads. I want to introduce you to another amazing hero. Her name is Gotsu, and she's the second from the right. Gotsu is 12 years old, or was when she learned about Days for Girls. We train something amazing called ambassadors of women's health who go into the world and are taught how to talk about a period, because let's be honest, we don't even feel comfortable talking about that here. And what are we afraid of? Because after all, without periods, there would be no people. It's an amazing, amazing phenomena that humans share. Not just the women, all of us share. So this girl got to hear an ambassador in her own language in Zimbabwe come to her and talk to her about this and teach her how to make pads and leave resources. And see who it was that picked up the ball. It was 12-year-old Gotsu. And when they returned in 6 months, they found she had taught 200 fellow students how to make their own pads. And when they asked her, how did you do that? Her response, I'm no longer an orphan. I'm a leader of women. That is the power of respecting and honoring those we serve. Here's the amazing thing. We know that the poverty cycle can be broken when girls stay in school. And they don't always get that opportunity. A lot of them drop out. And guess what one of the big reasons is? In Uganda, we questioned a school that had had kids for just 1 year. And they, before we got there, had a pattern of 25% of the girls dropping out when they reached the age of menstruation. 1 year after having their kids, and guess how many dropped out? 3%. It has a major impact, and yet we know if a girl stays in school even 1 more year of primary school, according to several studies, that her whole nation will have a higher gross national product. She will have be less likely to marry early. She will be less likely to die in childbirth, and she will be more likely to teach her children and lift her community with her voice and talents. We can literally help reverse the cycle of poverty. And I'm not saying this is the only solution, because all good solutions weave together in this magical tapestry that humanity can create together if we don't tie down those within our circle. And the amazing thing is we've left 50% of them, entire communities and nations, locked behind doors. And that affects all of us. And the more amazing thing is we can change this. We can do this. This is one of the things we can really do. You know, questioneering isn't alone to Days for Girls. In fact, 2 of my heroes in the whole world are Dr. Pedro Sanchez, who's a leading soil scientist, and he is a master questionnaire. He goes into communities and asks them how it's going, they're addressing eroding soils and failing crops. And in one community in Kenya, they answered, well, we have to cut down the indigenous trees. If we don't, then our family won't live. And then we can't take care of them into the future. There is no future. So he taught them how to grow fast-growing trees that in the first year provided shade and in the second year could be cut to provide firewood. He found little diminutive sunflowers that could be ground up and amended into the soil right where they were, and increased productivity of the crops by an enormous amount. Or Dr. Catherine Bertini is one of the World Food Program's former directors. This amazing woman asked questions of an Afghan community, and she asked them to list the 10 things they would do if they had more financial resources, and they noticed a pattern. The women, if asked 10 things, would list 9 to 10 things that they would be involving giving to their community and giving to their families, very little for themselves. So they took the novel approach of taking the funds for food and giving it to the military, and instead giving that to the women in the community. The women in the community were encouraged to make these brick up clay ovens, and they would bake the grains into bread, which would feed the community and trickle down through everyone, benefit financially as well. It was so successful that the Taliban tried to stop the program and not allow the women to do any more baking. She stood them toe to toe and won, but that's another story. What's interesting is both of these people won the World Food Prize. It's the Nobel Prize equivalent, for those who change world hunger. Dr. Sanchez and Catherine Bertini put their money from their prize towards secondary education for girls. Dr. Sanchez says it might surprise you that a soil scientist would do that. But here's the quote he gave. An educated girl can have a profound impact on the development of a community. All of them come back. Do you feel the thread? Do you see the thread? We can do this. What's important is not just this issue, but all of us. This begs the question, what other questions are we not asking? If this single issue could have such an enormous impact with so many layers, what other questions have we not asked yet? Is that as exciting to you as it is to me? Our goal is to have it done by 2022. Every girl, everywhere, has access to whatever solution works for her. We'll see what we take on next, because we're gonna make it, but not without being tenaciously flexible and fearlessly partnering. You're invited. We can, we must reach.
Okay, I forgot to tell you, there's a quiz. So she thought by getting the kits, pads, the washable pads, that would really help the situation. But what was the additional problem, the underlying thing? The girls said,
No place to throw them out.
pardon?
No place to throw them out.
There was a disposal problem, yes, with the disposals. But the girls told her, these were the older girls, that before she came with the pads, that in order for the girls to be able to get pads, they had to be sexually exploited by their teachers, and even the principal, the headmaster of the school. Women all over the world have been taken advantage of because of this. So, could we have some light? Okay, so maybe one more. Okay.
You want two?
Thank you. All right. I love this quote from Mother Teresa. Not all of them, I don't know it exactly, but not all of us can do great things, but we can all do small things with great love. And are small things that we can do. Celeste found out why she was born, and it was exciting to help girls during their days. She is no longer, she's the founder of Days for Girls and was its CEO for 16 years. She's now turned it over to someone else. But I get to give you the review of what's happened in the last 11 years. So this is Celeste today. She has written a book called The Power of Days. And yes, this is my well-worn one with a little coffee spilled on it, and one that I had just loaned to my friend Sharon here. And so I have an available copy. It's an amazing story. The woman's life alone is amazing. Not only but it took her 5 years to write it while she was growing this international organization. She wanted the goal, every girl, everywhere, period, by 2022. She didn't make it, but we're still working at it, and I'm inviting you to help with this. She knew very well the shame and the shrinking confidence of not having something you can rely on. And I think it's every one of us girls has had embarrassing moments. Maybe for the fellows it was an embarrassing moment, or a sister, or even a girlfriend. We have, as we grow, we have the ability to control our urine. Yay! And remember when our children, hey, the bowels, they can control their bowels, okay? But when it comes to periods and the body deciding to slough off that lining, there's nothing, we can't control it. It just starts sometimes. With athletes, I know someone who was a runner when she was in high school, and she was so athletic that she didn't even have periods until she was 16. Maybe some of you are familiar with that. There was a Chinese runner, a marathon runner, who during a marathon, her period started. And she finished the race. She was criticized for not stopping. Sorry, what is this? It's not a disease, it's a natural function. And if you control it and take care of it, there's more. But anyway, it's still a problem out there. Celeste's story, again, you need to read the book because it's incredible. But she says it's not our circumstances, but our responses who define who we are. The mission of Days for Girls is three-part. Part of it I gave to some of you, you're holding it. The menstrual products, okay? And does anybody not get one? Trying to wake up the audience here. Okay. These are what we call pods, okay? And a pod is two parts. I had never really thought about what makes a pad work, okay? Why, whenever we try to use rags or toilet paper, I never tried rock, but why does this work? Well, all right. Engineers take things apart sometimes to figure out how they work, took it apart. There is a moisture barrier. It doesn't have to be very big, very thick, but this is, actually it's plastic. Okay, so inside of these, we call these shields. Inside of them is a wonderful fabric. It's called PUL, it's washable, and they laminate the polyurethane on the back of it. So this is a stack, and those of us in our chapter, I've been a member of the Houston Northwest chapter for 7 years, and making these, I love to make these because they're the hardest part of doing it. But we create this stack, and I'll take home 20 of them, and a month later come back with 20 of them turned into this, or a stack of 50 or so of these. I have a machine that does this serging, and you may not think that this is very much, six layers. It can be. The design of this is that it can be 3 of those folded up, so it's pretty thick, okay? And this doesn't work as well because I'm giving you off-spec product. It's supposed to be 5 inches, not 6, or 6.5, or 7. And this is part of the quality that we want with Days for Girls. And we are going to be I'm starting a workshop, and I hope those of you who have a handout have noticed that I'm giving you the opportunity to help with making some of these kits and some of the products. Actually, things have changed. We used to pack kits and hopefully found a missionary that would take them and also was trained. Now they want us to, what do we make? Or we make the shield, we make the liners, we have thanks for covering up the carry pouch.
Didn't want it to fall.
Yeah, thank you. The carry pouch is waterproof, and I have some carry pouches with me. These are off spec also. They should have had a longer flap on them, so I added a snap. But I didn't really appreciate the carry pouch until I actually started using these myself, because this is very handy for stress urinary incontinence. Okay? So if you think you might want to use them, I have more off-spec pads here that you can take. Frankly, I would like to have them be a light color, and it's easy. I wash my hands after I go to the bathroom. If I need to change a pad, I can just wash the pad. Roll it up in a towel, hang it up to dry. I'm not sure how much money it's saving, but even men have been known to use these for incontinence. So there you are with a soiled wet pad. It's nice to have a waterproof pouch to put it into, because you're not going to throw it away. You're going to take it home and wash it. So that's the advantage of the carry pouch. She talked about not using much water. This can actually be used to wash and rinse the liners. The shields are also quite washable. Because of this fabric, we don't recommend putting it in the washer and dryer, but it dries fairly easily. And everything about this kit is tried and true. There's about 28 versions of it. And in my 7 years with Days for Girls, they came back and said, we need you to reinforce this right here. Just 3 stitches back and forth. So what did someone do? They did a zigzag. Zigzag stitch. Not quite. Can't put a flap wide enough either. So anyway, there's also another model that is for women, a larger flow or larger leak in some cases. I've actually looked at what else is available in the market, and you can order these from Etsy. They're nice and soft. It's got the waterproof fabric, snaps under the crotch. So these are comfortable too. They make some in Africa, they're called Africa pads, but they last about a year. This kit, by teaching with the education, this kit can last a girl from 3 to 5 years. That's enough for her to get out of school, okay? Get started working. They're comfortable, they're easy to wear. So, and it's not just for poor people. My niece developed an allergy to all of the deodorants and stuff, and she started using fabric too. We're not going back to what grandma's rags. I wanted you to see they're not grandma's rags. We have an updated twist to it that works. Okay, where was I? So we have the quality menstrual health products, and I took a peek also, take it apart. They've got the polyurethane fabric, and then they've got this microfiber polyester inside. These are more expensive ingredients, and they don't hold up as well. You can buy period products, Walmart, right off the shelf, and ordered. This is a Hanes one. You didn't expect to see underwear today, did you? Okay. So there's products out there, whether no matter what, you're leaking.
I didn't know that, a Walmart.
Okay, so we have quality, because they're not all quality. Quality products and the education. Bringing you up to date, Days for Girls, with all of those thousands of volunteers have made kits and so forth, 3.5 million women in 16 years. Such a difference, 145 countries. And I'm going to tell you about another country soon we want to add. And she talked about how menstruation affects education, affects work too. So the positive outcomes of the menstrual kits, she mentioned that also. So here's the quality product. And I have one of these too that helps cut fabrics so they're the right size. And for the workshop, you won't need to bring any materials because I will be supplying the fabric and the machines. You might want to bring scissors. But we need to be sensitive to the kinds of things that are on the fabric, okay? No crosses, no crescents, no words, because we get that feedback. No eyes, yeah. They don't exactly appreciate snakes on a. Yeah, you can get this flannel with moose on it. Anyway, but we want something that's appropriate. This education takes about an hour and a half to do a good job with it. And Flipchart has been translated into like 31 languages. I never realized it was 3,000 days in a lifetime. I don't really want to remember it either. But the changes that go through and getting to the heart of the matter. I drew this on a chalkboard, okay? And including, no, I wasn't that specific, but I also drew this on the chalkboard. That got the boys' attention. So the opportunity to show and tell and be able to ask questions about how babies happen and how sex is determined. They've had women say, can you tell me my husband's going to divorce me because I have only had girls? And it's not up to her. It's not really up to him. There's a million of these. Every one of you is a winner because you're the product of the fastest fastest little sperm that got there first. So this course is very informative, and everyone really needs to know how their body works. We're still learning, actually, how our bodies work. And we're not missing the men, too. Okay, this is a flip chart. I actually put it together more like a book, but the program for men to talk about it. Again, with the same pictures. All right? I heard once that I don't know whether it's in the Quran or not, but in some of their literature, that Muhammad said sperm comes from the spine. This doctor who was telling about it said, no, it doesn't. No. So, okay. I want you to see what difference education makes. So, the health education. They do community workshops. Days for Girls has worked with ministries of education in many countries. They've gone to the United Nations. They work with UNESCO. The other aspect of making these, she mentioned it, that the little orphan girl had taught others how to make the kits. That's why we don't want to turn it over to manufacturing. We want it to just be something that can hang on a bush. We recommend that they dry it in the sun because that helps kill germs. And that's what they have available. In fact, each of these kits has soap in it, and it's meant for her. And part of the teaching is to tell her, this is for you, it's your gift. Don't share it. They share toothbrushes, they share everything. Don't share this, because she could be sharing sexually transmitted diseases. Okay, so that's part of the information. Now, they are starting to do, have been wanting to do ever since she gave that talk in 2013, to have businesses where the women can, or people in the community can make these kits and do the teaching also. They call them social enterprises. Locally owned business, it's much more self-sufficient. Whenever the rest of the world shuts down, hopefully they've got the things they need to be able to make those kits. They now have, they divided up their 45 countries into 3 zones. It was really hard for us, my group, to not send kits to Kenya, but there's 30 enterprise companies there. So they want to make their own. And they're talking to the school systems about them helping support getting these kits. They actually, I didn't know it at the time, that Kenya thought, oh, we'll send pads out to the girls. Guess what they didn't have? They didn't have panties. So, it's another story. So, some countries are making their own, and they're self-sufficient. Some are developing enterprise programs, and the blue zone does not have any enterprise programs and no chapters that make the kit products. So it's complex. All right, the third part is advocacy and partnerships. We are shifting social norms. We want policy that you will be seeing here shortly. In India and Nepal, parts of India and Nepal, they have a practice they call shapai. And people are considered impure. It's a sin to have a period. And they are not allowed in the house. They're not allowed to wash. That's enough to tell you. So, anyway, and it's very scary for them. So it illegal. Does that stop it? No. No. But we work with governments, non-government organizations. We want to end period poverty and stigma. And I'm going to play a 3-minute video this time. This is a young girl from Nepal. Can most of you read this?
No, just the little ones at the bottom. They're pretty small.
Pretty small.
म पहिलो पटक 15 वर्षको उमेरमा मिन्स भएँ। म स्कुल आउने क्रममा बाटोमा मिन्स भएको थिएँ र मलाई बाटोमा हिँड्दा हिँड्दै नराम्रो महसुस लाग्यो अनि म घर फर्केँ। घर गएर मेरो मम्मीले भनेको चाहिँ म 7 दिनसम्म कोर्समा बसेँ। मेरो आमाले मिन्स भन्ने कुरा अशुद्ध हो, नराम्रो हो भनेर भन्नुभएको थियो। मलाई छाउपटमा बस्दाखेरि एकदमै डर लागेको, कतै सर्पले डस्छ कि कोही केटाहरू आउँछन् कि भन्ने एउटा खुल्ला किसिमको कोर्समा बस्दाखेरि मलाई एकदमै डर लागेको थियो। मेरो नाम लीला सिंह हो। म डेस्पर बस कालीकोटमा फिलोसफीमा काम गर्छु। म छाउपडीमा हुर्किएको। एकदमै अरूभन्दा फरक लाग्यो, एकदमै डर लाग्यो। म छोरी भएर किन जन्मिएँ जस्तो पनि लाग्यो। किन भन्दाखेरि दिनमा चाहिँ कसैको अनुहार हेर्न नमिल्ने, वनमा अथवा उडारमा चाहिँ लुक्नुपर्ने अवस्था। छाउपडी प्रथा परापूर्व कालदेखि चल्दै आएको चलन हो। महिला तथा किशोरीहरूले कसरी चाहिँ सुरक्षित राख्ने भन्ने चाहिँ हाम्रो चाहिँ लक्ष्य हो। हाम्रो चाहिँ UNCLEAN बनाएको करिकुलम अनुसार चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ महिला तथा किशोरीहरूलाई शिक्षा दिने काम गर्छौँ। जस्तै चाहिँ महिनावारी सम्बन्धी कसरी हात कसरी धुने, मानव देखबिखनबाट कसरी चाहिँ बस्ने र पुनः प्रयोग गर्न मिल्ने, धोएर प्रयोग गर्न मिल्ने चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ प्याडहरू वितरण गर्छौँ। छाउपडी प्रथालाई चाहिँ अन्त्य गर्न त्यति सजिलो चाहिँ छैन, तर चाहिँ हामीले केही सफलता चाहिँ हासिल गरेका छौँ। सानो गोठमा बस्थे, तर अहिले चाहिँ फराकिलो र सफा ठाउँमा बस्ने चाहिँ गरेको पाएको छौँ। हाम्रो समाजमा होइन महिनावारी भएको बेला महिनावारीलाई यो के अरे पाप हो होइन, महिनावारी भनेको के हो होइन, अनि महिनावारीको बारेमा हामीले एकदम दियौँ होइन सत्य शिक्षा। प्याडहरूको बारेमा होइन, प्याडहरू उहाँहरूले यो त कसरी युज गर्ने थाहा नै हुन्थेन नि। मैले यसको तालिमले गर्दा महिनावारी पाप होइन ईश्वरको वरदान हो भन्ने कुरा सिकेँ। यसमा गफ चाहिँ दिएको प्याडले गर्दा म एकदम पनि नसुटाएर म रेगुलर स्कुल आइरहेको छु। महिनावारी भनेको अशुद्ध कुरा होइन। संसारका महिलाहरू समाजमा भुलबिल हुनु उनीहरूको अधिकारको कुरा हो। यसलाई परिवर्तन गर्नको लागि छाउपडी प्रथालाई परिवर्तन गर्न जरुरी छ।
Okay. She wants to go to school. Now she can go to school. She knows it's not a sin. Did you see that? She said having periods is a blessing. A blessing. We didn't feel like it at the time. Most likely I didn't, but it is. It's a natural human thing and it can be handled. So, another term, period poverty. What is period poverty? Basically, it's not having what you need when you need it, in this case. And I remember going to school and hoping there was a pad in the machine. There wasn't, so I went home. I was able to walk home, but can happen. And there are problems, infections, and so forth. And it's everywhere. There's emergencies. Some of you may have seen my display. Because we have enough kits in warehouses and distribution points, we can put together emergency kits for the Hurricane Helene in North Carolina. It wasn't just their houses, it was their businesses. The grocery stores, the CVS's were closed. It's very inconvenient. The LA fire victims, not flood, houses burned, businesses burned. The Palestinians, these kits are going to Palestinians. In Lebanon, we had an enterprise, she was doing well, and then things really fell apart. So we sent more kits. Displaced refugees, can you imagine being in a tent without running water? Okay, they are getting kits if we give them, if we supply them, if we have them ready, and the education. If you will go to, I gave you the Days for Girls website information. There's lots of videos. And there's one in particular in Lebanon where these girls wearing their hoods and masks and so forth are saying, we didn't know this. We need to know this. Then, there's 80% of women that have started their periods and didn't have the products. Did that ever happen to you? You don't have to admit it. Most of them do. Okay, and so they're talking about, this is a Days for Girls initiative, period positive workplace. And I thought, we don't need that here, do we? There's not a single person here that's menstruating. Except the high school girls that are serving us and some of the employees. And so a period positive workplace provides free period products in the bathrooms. We can easily do this, but to tell the employees that they're going to continue to be available. What a concept. It's not just the employees. I made some inquiries, and I asked one of the assistant restaurant managers what she does whenever the girls say they need, they need a pad, and she says, I usually give them one. That's out of her own pocket. And she said, we have a tampon dispenser in the employees' lounge restroom, but it's always empty. I said, oh, okay. So I found out who's in charge of that and talked to her, and she said, oh, well, there never was any in there. And she says, and I always have what I need. That's nice. So I also emailed Vicki at Human Resources and said, there's this problem. She says, oh, we always take care of our employees. There are still no tampons in the dispenser. So, we have a little campaign here, just a little advocacy for not just the employees, but you could have a teenage granddaughter come to visit, or she brings a friend along, and they're not prepared. CVS is closed. Well, that kind of runs time with grandma if they go running off to the store somewhere. The person who said there's still no tampons said, even the Renaissance Festival does a better job. I guess there's no CVS on the corner there either. But they have little baskets with the feminine care products right there. Because have you gone to the Renaissance Festival, you want to stay the whole day. You want to do the whole thing. You're not wanting to stop and run and go somewhere. So they kind of discovered that. They can do better than us. Really? We do care. It can be as simple as there's pads on a roll, like toilet tissue. Yeah, they're disposable, but they're there. How can we help? What can we do here at ET? Do you have the rack forms?
They're out almost everywhere except for these two rows.
Oh, okay. All right. Do you think that we should become a period positive workplace and have these things available? Please let RAC know. We've got, all you have to do is sign and give your apartment number if you dare. Of course, it takes money to do what Days for Girls does. they'll be happy to take a check. We say materials, kits. As I said, we're going to have a monthly Days for Girls workshop. I will be cooperating with the there are three different chapters that are registered here in the Houston area. But why did I bring Audrey Hepburn into this? As you grow older, you will discover you have two hands. One for helping yourself, and one for helping others. And as far as sewing goes, when I talk to people, this is the most rewarding sewing that I have done in my lifetime, because I know it's making an important difference in the world. But just spread awareness. Be aware. We can't always do great things, but we can do little things. Even if it's, I gave you a wish list on there, going to Amazon and ordering a pair of panties. We don't make panties, but we need them in the kits. So that helps. So it's not easy to shatter stigma, okay? But in some cases it needs to be done. Now I want to introduce you to a very important visitor. Kristen, come up here. I'm running out of time. I'm running over time.
Can I ask a quick question
Yes.
while she's coming? In Africa, do you deal with female circumcision?
Yes,
Thank you.
99% of the country that I live in.
Well, I've been
This
wondering.
is the precious daughter of, they're always precious daughters, no matter what their age is. My daughter became a grandmother. And that made me a great one. Whew. But would you stand up, Lynn, and let's, okay. This is their daughter, Kristen Schmaltz, Dr. Kristen Schmaltz. And I was so impressed because when she started medical school, she wanted to become a medical missionary. And she's been doing it for 25 years. Oh, wait a minute. Back up? We made a slide. Two geniuses changed my
It's not there.
Great.
Sorry.
Two geniuses.
We had a map that showed where you were.
Okay, well, if you put your map on, I can show you again.
Guinea is in
West Africa.
West Africa, yes, okay? So, she has a medical clinic there, and she had received some Days for Girls, but then it stopped. And we need to support, because we're gonna do this. You're our challenge.
Yes. So it was a pleasure to talk with Louella about Days for Girls. I had received kits from a church in New Jersey and from my friend Kathy and a group that she worked with from Magnolia. And we always appreciated that. We work with a large group of girls. In this past year, we've impacted 149,000 girls, directly teaching them. And over our radio programs for girls alone, it's around 10 million people, or 10 million events that go out to probably some of the same people. There's a great need. There is female circumcision. The girls are not allowed to leave their huts or their homes, go to school or anything during their menstrual cycle, and that's just a travesty. And girls are married at age 13 commonly in my region. They don't even know what's happening to them, so we would appreciate helping anything we can do here.
Okay, we're gonna send you kits, we're gonna get the education in French, by the way.
And Hula.
What? And the other languages, there's 7 languages?
There's 43 people groups, probably about 30 different languages, and Hula is the main one in my region.
So we want to add Guinea to the countries where Days for Girls it's a continual. It costs $10 to get a kit. It may be some transportation costs, but we need to get some kits to them on a regular basis. right?
Thank you, yes, we would appreciate it.
Okay, all right. Yes, I have one. Okay. Questions? I'm running out of time. Any questions? Yes?
Has the dismantling of USAID affected Days for Girls at all?
I have not heard whether it has or not specifically. I'm sure that it's affected some of the people with feeding programs. But again, that's one of the advantages of having people there knowing how to make and still educate. And this is what Dr. Schmaltz is saying. They're still teaching it, but they don't have the kits that lets the girls manage their periods.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? So USAID is nice, but when something happens, whether it's an emergency or like in Lebanon, they had a good system going and then war broke out. So, okay, so your help is appreciated. Any other questions? Yes?
This might be a question for Celeste, Louella, but was there any sabotage of the distribution of these products by the men in the area who were preying on those girls who were vulnerable for those products?
She actually, there's a couple of chapters in her book where she actually took the head of the orphanage to court.
Wow.
And it took quite a while to get that. It affected him, sure, he didn't have nearly the opportunity anymore because the girls were saying, zip it. Just zip it. I don't need them. Okay? So, and some people say, oh, why aren't you manufacturing these? Let's try to keep it at the local level. So the people, you know that saying, give a man a fish, he eats for the day. Teach him to fish, he eats for a lifetime. And this is letting people run their own show, but it's a good show. Anything else? Yes?
I have worked as a volunteer under Dr. Kristen's leadership for several years, and some of the other volunteers on our team who are stateside are here. And what I'd like to add is that whenever you hear a presentation from a nonprofit group, you always wonder, how is money being spent? Well, I've had the privilege of assisting with the planning process, some of the committee meetings, and have had a direct look at the numbers. And I can assure you, as a nurse, and I'm very specific, that the funds are very properly used. There is excellent stewardship in this mission. And the overall organization, Days for Girls, has a very high rating on charity, on GuideStar, and on Charity Navigator. So if you decide to donate with funds today, I believe that you can be well assured that they will be properly stewarded.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, again, on the website, they give that because that's it. That's why I wanted you to meet Celeste, to see that this woman's heart is in it. And in the book, they talk about where they go sometimes. They'll rent a house instead of staying in a hotel because it's cheaper. They are really practical. Yes?
You might want to mention that Amazon gives you a good deal. You don't have to, if you want to buy something from them for this, you go to that Amazon page.
It's on here.
And they'll be sure you get the right things and they'll send them for you. You don't even have to tell them where to send them or anything else. It'll just, they know where it goes.
Well, Wayne, how do we get Amazon to direct it to Guinea, to Dr. Schmaltz?
Well, for Amazon, you're buying things that go into the kits. The kits get manufactured here in the United States, and so they don't have to worry about it going over there for now.
We're actually looking at kits being made in Sierra Leone, and that's the $10 kits that we would like to order at least 100 kits, and it'll take them 6 weeks or so to place the order and so forth, but, it'll be a start. She went to Nepal with 20,000 kits. Part of them, they were already making there. Okay. But it takes a lot of kits to begin to reach people. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you. Thank you. With my husband, we have cookies and we still have rack forms.
And there are pencils to fill out your
There's
rack forms.
pencils over there for you to sign
We'll
your
take
name and be advocates.